Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So it looks like 2014 is going to be another terrific year of boxing. Right now in the makings already. I mean, the last 2 years of boxing have been the best years of boxing that I've seen since I've been a boxing fan. And it seems like 2014 will continue right where 13 left off. Starting with this news right here, which is not official yet. But from what I'm seeing right now, no matter who fights who in this little top-ranked stable, as long as we don't get those same dreadful fights over and over, Marquez and Manny Pacquiao, all the other fights that could be made are very intriguing fights to be made, starting with this one right here. So this news just came in today. It was reported today that Ruslan Provonikov, he did an interview, and he said that Manny Pacquiao is possibly going to be his next opponent. Now, Provonikov, he will go on to basically say that before he didn't really want to fight Pacquiao because he was his friend, because they shared the same coach. And he said that he had went to his room and he had thought about it. And he basically said, you know what, this is my opportunity. I want to fight the best, and I need to fight the best. And, I can't turn down an opportunity like this. I would be a fool to turn it down. So because of that, he realizes that this is the fight that needs to happen for his career and his future. Okay, so he says, he understands that he's going to have to go get another trainer because obviously Freddie Roach is going to side with Manny Pacquiao. And that's basically the gist of the report. Now, this is what I want to say. Like I said, things are getting very, very interesting because as you guys know, Top Rank and Bob Arum in some ways have been somewhat of a thorn in the sport of boxing today. I blame them on a lot of the politics that take place in the sport of boxing. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a cold war going on between Top Rank and Golden Boy. But at the same time, I blame it mainly on Top Rank. Bob Arum is extremely greedy. He's all about that in-house money. He does not want to share his money with anyone, So because of that, he's been kind of messing up the sport just a little bit. And we haven't been really getting the fights that we really want to see. But I think all of a sudden, something basically happened in 2013 that kind of changed all of that. And it changed all of that for the better. And that was Juan Marquez knocking out Manny Pacquiao. So you guys have to understand, that wasn't supposed to happen. That was not part of the script, all right? That changed everything. That stirred up the pot. And the reason why it stirred up the pot is because when Marquez knocked out Manny Pacquiao, Marquez, he refused to play that same game. He refused to continue to play the Pacquiao-Marquez over and over and over game. Because if it was up to Top Rank, Bob Arum, and hell, even Manny Pacquiao has a little something to do with it, Pacquiao and Marquez would have fought each other over and over and over again. By the time it would have been over and their careers would have been over with, they would have fought each other about 8 or 9 times if it was up to Bob Arum. But like I said, Marquez, he threw a monkey wrench in the program and changed everything. Now, we're looking at a whole different type of stable of fights and opponents for each other. I think it's interesting right now because, like I said, you have all of these great potential fights that could be made now just because of what happened between Marquez and Pacquiao. So right now, all of these top-ranked fighters, they're basically sitting down at a round table right now, and they're all looking at each other, trying to figure out who's going to fight who. Who am I going up against next, right? The WBO president, he's been trying to urge Juan Marquez to fight against Ruslan Provonikov. But Marquez doesn't want to fight Provonikov. Marquez, he wants a rematch with Bradley. Bradley, he wants another shot at Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao wanted a 5th fight with Marquez. And Provonikov, he just sitting there saying, I'll take any of them. It really doesn't matter to me. Okay? So this is what it is. Decisions. Who's going to fight who? And right now, it's looking like it probably is going to be Pacquiao versus Provonikov, which is an excellent fight. As far as I'm concerned, that's a 50-50 fight. I know a lot of people are going to pick Pacquiao to win that fight, but I see it as a 50-50 fight. And, if the fight gets made, I'll elaborate on that with a breakdown, of course. But anyway, back to the fight possibly happening. I think it's a good chance of this happening. I think realistically, this would be smart of Manny Pacquiao to choose Provonikov over Tim Bradley. Because I truly believe that if Manny Pacquiao fights Tim Bradley, it will be extremely hard. It'll be extremely difficult. And I kind of see Bradley winning that fight. I see Bradley winning a rematch because of the fact that Bradley just came off of an excellent win over Marquez. Marquez, the same guy who coincidentally just knocked out Pacquiao. And, you know, if you listen to the dumbass fans, their theory and logic was before Bradley fought Marquez, they were basically saying, how can Tim Bradley beat Marquez if Tim Bradley lost to Pacquiao and Marquez just beat Pacquiao? So now we could use that same theory that you guys were using. How can Manny Pacquiao beat Tim Bradley if Tim Bradley just beat Marquez easy, right? Now, see, I don't go off of logics like that. I'm just giving them a taste of their own medicine. The logic I'm going off of is styles make fights. And Tim Bradley, like I said, before he broke his ankle, he was floating like a butterfly, stinging like a bee against Manny Pacquiao. He looked very, very good in the first 4 rounds when he had his feet. You could see how he hurt his ankle, because once he hurt his ankle, he was standing right in front of Manny Pacquiao. And we know that there's a huge power deficit. So Bradley was standing right in front of a power puncher, right? And keep in mind, Bradley doesn't have that much power. And Manny Pacquiao couldn't knock him out. Matter of fact, if you go back and watch the fight, Bradley was getting the best of Manny Pacquiao in between some of those exchanges. And then, like as I always say, in the championship rounds, Tim Bradley looked like the stronger fighter because he had all the stamina, he had all the energy. Manny Pacquiao looked frustrated, and even Freddie Roach himself said that Tim Bradley won the last 3 rounds. All right? So if you just take all of that into consideration, and you just keep in mind that this is a Tim Bradley that got hurt in the fight. This is a Tim Bradley who broke his ankle in the fight, right? Just imagine if Tim Bradley doesn't break his ankle. And by some of these stupid Pacquiao fans' own admission, they say, oh, the only reason why he did so good in some of those rounds is because he was moving, because he was running in the ring. Oh, you mean running like Manny Pacquiao was running against Brandon Rios? That kind of running, right? Well, if you believe that he did good because he was quote-unquote running, what if he runs again? Let's keep in mind, guys. Keep in mind, Manny Pacquiao, or I should say Tim Bradley. Tim Bradley had said leading up to the fight in all of his interviews, I'm going to beat him with footwork. He's never seen my type of footwork. This is what, so what Tim Bradley said he was going to do, it wasn't a secret. He had already told people what he was going to do, right? So that's the reason why I believe that is a tough fight for Manny Pacquiao. And I truly believe that Team Pacquiao, they are thinking the same thing right now. I believe that right now, Team Pacquiao, Manny, and all of his advisors, they're all huddled up right now. And I think they're saying to themselves, what makes sense? What makes sense for us, Manny Pacquiao? You just got to keep in mind, Manny Pacquiao, if you lose to Tim Bradley in a rematch, your career is over with. That takes away all the excuses that we used of being robbed in the first fight. That erases all of that. And then it solidifies the fact that Tim Bradley was always a better fighter than you, Manny. If Tim Bradley is to beat you in a rematch, that is a very dangerous fight for you to take, Manny. We should go with someone who's more predictable, someone who's more easier to hit, someone who we have always had an easier time with. You know, like a Margarito type of opponent. Like a David Diaz type of opponent. Like a Ruslan Provonikov. We have a better chance beating Provonikov than we do Tim Bradley. This man, Tim Bradley, he just beat Marquez. His confidence is soaring through the roof now. He's no longer depressed like he was when he was getting hate mail. And people were talking all this shit about him before. Tim Bradley is no longer depressed. Bradley's confidence is at an all-time high right now. So if I were Manny Pacquiao's advisors, I would truly tell Manny Pacquiao to avoid Tim Bradley. Avoid him like he is the plague, because it's going to be an uphill battle for Tim Bradley, and there's so much at risk. If like I said, if Manny Pacquiao loses that fight, his career is over with. His career is over with, and that's the truth. I mean, don't get me wrong, he can continue to fight, but his stock goes down. He already owes the IRS money. He's already doing the lowest pay-per-view numbers. And if you take another L against a guy who people wanted to believe that, actually robbed Pacquiao of a win, then, his career will pretty much be over. He will no longer be taken serious. And he could really forget about a Mayweather shot. Like I told you guys before, I believe that Manny Pacquiao's contract is up after his April fight. And it's very possible that Manny Pacquiao, if he really wants that Mayweather fight, he's going to have to avoid Tim Bradley by all costs. And he's going to have to still get past a very rough and rugged Provonikov, which will not be an easy task either. Like I said, it's funny because Provonikov is the type of opponent that Manny Pacquiao usually likes to face. And these are the type of opponents that Pacquiao normally looks good against. But the difference between a Provonikov and a Brandon Rios is Brandon Rios is flat-footed. Provonikov is flat-footed, right? They fight square. But the difference is from Rios is Provonikov, he is fast on his feet. He's not a slow guy like Margarito. Margarito, he comes after you, but he's slow on his feet. You can run circles around that guy. You can't really run circles around Provonikov. Provonikov, he's coming after you fast. And not only that, but he has an amateur pedigree. This man was a gold medalist, I believe. All right? And Manny Pacquiao himself, he never had an amateur pedigree, not an international amateur pedigree. Okay? So that makes a big difference. So we're going to see, guys. We're going to see if this is the fight that gets made. But like I said, right now, it's looking like as long as we don't have to watch Pacquiao and Marquez continue to fight, all the other options are very, very intriguing and interesting. No matter who fights, these mix of fights are going to be pretty good. I guess right now, if Provonikov does fight Manny Pacquiao, then I guess that means that Bradley, I don't know, is probably going to end up fighting Marquez in a rematch, or he might end up fighting Brandon Rios, which is another good fight. I don't mind. I personally don't mind to see Bradley fight against Marquez in a rematch. I completely agree with Joel Diaz, Bradley's trainer, that Bradley would beat Marquez even easier, because like I always tell you guys, it's a different ball game when you're going into a rematch with a thinker versus a banger, okay? Because a thinker, he's already thinking. You don't want to give a thinker the answers to the test going in, all right? Bradley already has the answers to the test because he's fought against Marquez already, so he knows what to expect. Bradley, he didn't know what to expect when he got in the ring with Marquez the first time. And I know some of you may be thinking, well, Marquez, he has some of the answers as well, but I don't think Marquez has the answers. I don't think he has the answers. Marquez never figured it out in the first fight. Marquez, he didn't know what was going on throughout that fight. And then as soon as Marquez changed it up and tried to get aggressive against Tim Bradley in their fight, Marquez almost ended up getting knocked down or knocked out. This is the reason. People didn't understand why Marquez kept waiting. He kept waiting. And while he was waiting, Bradley was peppering him to death, because Marquez is a counterpuncher. And Marquez, he's only really good at counterpunching when he's fighting against a fighter who is easy to hit and lacks defense. But see, when Marquez is trying to fight against someone who has good head movement, rhythm, and they know how to counterpunch too, then Marquez is stuck. He doesn't know what to do. Okay? It was a thinking man's game, and Bradley, he outthought the thinker. And I see a lot more of that in a rematch. Marquez will be even more frustrated. And the more aggressive Marquez gets, the more trouble he'll run into. If there is a rematch, I see Marquez get knocked down in that fight maybe once or maybe more than once. So this is how I see it, guys. I hope we get to see Provonikov versus Manny Pacquiao. I'm on to the next one.